More than 50 helpers from 25 high schools in the Maitland district have had the chance to take part in producing their very own newspaper, and it's been all their own work. With limited help from adults, the students have written the stories, taken the photographs, and have organised the paper's advertisements. This unique look into the world of newspapers has given the students a chance to look at the results of a printing press from the inside, and with the push of a button, 3 months' hard work of preparation started to take its shape. The result was a 32-page newspaper called the Junior Mercury Press, and was sold and distributed throughout the Maitland district. With first-hand knowledge gained at such a young age, some of these students will no doubt be experts in the field if they choose a future career in the media. Everybody loves to put on a concert, and it was no different for these kindergarten students from St Joseph's Primary School at Charlestown. In fact, they were only part of the 200-strong performers who decided to put all their talents together and entertain the elderly of their area. The students put on their best smiling faces and wasted no time in capturing the hearts of their audience.
Lollipop shaped like a lion or a bear. This one I always like to eat.
It was a chance for all to recite their favourite poems, and with the help of their music teacher on the piano, they showed off their singing voices. But the ones that got the most pleasure from the concert were those who sat back and enjoyed it. Elderly people sometimes don't get the opportunity to go places and do a lot of things that they used to do, and most of them welcome the chance to meet with others. So when these young children decided to put on a concert especially for them, it was bound to be a success. An English cat by the name of Socks went out hunting one day and returned home with a tasty morsel, a tiny baby field mouse, and instead of killing his prey, Socks behaved in a very uncat-like manner. He's adopted the mouse and treats it with the same love and affection that would be given to a kitten, and the little mouse doesn't seem to mind it at all. It's so young that it hasn't even opened its eyes yet, which may cause some problems when that day finally comes. Roller skating can be a lot of fun, especially when you skate with your friends. But although it's not commonly known, roller skating is a recognised sport in Australia, and particularly for young enthusiasts. These 5 competitors who are putting in their final hours of training are this week competing in the Australian Championships held in Brisbane. The youngest team member is 7-year-old Jamie Hill from the Cessnock Roller Skating Club. It's the very first time that he'll be representing New South Wales in such a competition, after being selected at the state titles held last May. 8-year-old Reese Forty from Newcastle will join Jamie, and together they'll show their skills in the Tiny Tots free skate event. It's the second time that 11-year-old Mia Tolfree will be skating in the Australian Championship. Mia belongs to the Bennett's Green Skating Club and is hoping to do well in her competition. All of these young skaters have trained very hard. Hours of practice have resulted in many skills being perfected. The skaters will be performing in front of a panel of judges and will be up against some tough competition. With the school holidays in full swing, one of the best places to be is on the beach. But just like road rules, there are beach rules.
People shouldn't go in the water at all if they do see the surf closed sign. Should always have a look at the signs that are on the beach For instance, we have a bathe between the flag sign here. They should always look at those signs that are on the beach and take notice of them. On odd occasions we do have a dangerous surf with the surf bathe between flags up at the same time, and that means that the surf is reasonably dangerous, but it's still all right to go swimming just in those areas.
Sometimes when the weather conditions are bad, there can be a rip in the water. So what should you do?
They should just put their hand up and not panic. Try not to panic, that's the main thing.
If you see someone else in danger, don't try to save them by yourself. You may end up in the same position.
You should go and get help, because the beach inspector will be at one end of the beach or the other, and it's better to go and get him.
Beach Inspector Jamison offers some good advice for beach safety.
Before they come down, or as soon as they come down to the beach, they should have a look at the situation to see where the flags are situated and where the waves are, and just remember that safety first comes first.
Tennis is an enjoyable sport for all ages, and at a tennis coaching school at District Park Broadmeadow, these youngsters were picking up on some finer points of the game. Over 4 days, skills in serving, backhands and forehands have been learnt and practiced. And according to tennis coach Wayne Robertson, there's a few basic tips for everyone to acquire.
Well, some of the tips that I find are most appropriate to the game is that most people try and swing the racket rather than allow the racket become part of them. They try and use it as an axe rather than an instrument for playing tennis. So if they swing the racket, make sure their arm is moving with the racket.
Is there any age limit on tennis? How old do you have to be?
Well, there is an age limit with our organisation. We start them at 8. Their concentration span seems to be enough to cope with what information we're giving them. And we find that there's no limit on the top range of it. They can play until they feel they don't want to play anymore.
Everybody loves eating chocolate, but have you ever seen it being made? Let's go into the Choc Make Centre and find out all about it. These days, chocolates come in all different shapes and sizes, and making them can be loads of fun. Out here in the kitchen, Julie and 2 little helpers shared their secrets.
You take some chocolate. I've already got some melted, so it'll be a bit quicker.
Right, they're just chocolate chips, are they?
Yeah, this is just little buds that you melt down. They're already made up, compounded chocolate. Right. You should use compound chocolate because it's got vegetable fat in it. It's not like the block chocolates with the cocoa butter. It's very easy to handle.
Right.
You just add, add them into your bowl.
Heating in a bath of warm water, the chocolate melts. The next step is to add the different food colouring and flavours which help to make the finished product.
Now, it's important when the girls and boys are making these chocolates that Mum and Dad's around, isn't it?
Well, it is really, so that they don't burn themselves on the fry pan. But if you keep the heat down low, you can touch it. I don't really think they'd really get burnt with it.
Plastic models are used to make the different shapes, and they range from ice cream cones to this Santa Claus Julie's making. Being a modest cook, it was my turn. A quick tap on the table to remove unwanted air bubbles, and then the chocolate is put in the fridge to set. Homemade chocolate freckles never look so good, and when the time finally came, presto, a ready-made chocolate Santa Claus. For those who gathered for the official opening, the festivities in Civic Park mark the beginning of a 2-week program of entertainment, and there's lots planned for children. With our very own Big Dog and Miss Kelly to start the ball rolling, it was a time for the young at heart to help open the big bag of balloons. For those who really wanted to get into the scene of things, face painters were on hand to make beauties out of beasts. Dressed in their colourful costumes, Newcastle's popular band The Giddy People provided the musical entertainment and were a great hit among the audience. According to organisers, this year's Matara is focusing on family fun and involvement. Over the 2 weeks, there's loads of activities planned, especially for kids, which is great news for everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone has read about magical palaces in fairy tale books, but now Newcastle has its very own. As part of the Matara celebrations, the YWCA Centre in Cooks Hill has been transformed into a children's palace full of toys and displays. A collection of more than 4,000 dolls has just about every type you could imagine. There's Walt Disney characters, monsters, models and many more. There's even a robot as your guide for the display. Upstairs, a room of pottery and ceramics becomes a miniature model of Newcastle and its attractions. And in another room, more than 15,000 origami flowers have been made to welcome visitors. With the help of local school students, over 30,000 flowers will be sold to help the famine victims in Africa. And a porcelain doll display is also on show. All the dolls have been handmade and painted. This magical palace will be open every day this week between the hours of 10 and 4. A great place to visit over the Matara Festival. Locomotives are favourites of both young and old, and usually they're only seen in one piece. But what happens when you take apart an old locomotive that weighs more than 200 tonnes and put it back together part by part? Restoring this old 3801 loco has been a full-time job for those working on her overhaul. This particular engine was the leader of the 38 class passenger locomotive, which carried more than 500 people on the trips to Sydney by the popular Newcastle Flyer. This engine is also able to transport 14 tonnes of coal and carries more than 25,000 litres of water. The restorers are hoping to complete work on the locomotive by March next year, where she'll once again begin transporting passengers, but this time as a tourist attraction. In the science fantasy film Cocoon, an attractive group of extraterrestrials come to Earth to retrieve some magical objects from the Gulf of Mexico. During their visit to Florida's west coast in America, they encounter a young charter boat skipper who begins to make friends with one of the visitors and a group of senior citizens who begin to feel and act half their age.
We'll never be sick, we won't get any older, and we won't ever die.
Together they embark on a great adventure in which they all learn more about love, life and friendship than they ever dreamed possible. We took our news report cameras down to the Hoyt Cinema to see what the viewers thought.
The part where they went up in space at the end was all pretty good about it. Yeah, it was very good.
What are some of the good parts in it?
An old guy starts doing rap dancing in the middle of a room.
It was just good how the grown-ups just went into space when one of the men was going to die.
Is it a good film to see during the holidays?
Good. Yes, very good.
Well, of course you're honest. Did I ever accuse you of being dishonest? I accuse you of being from another planet, but an honest planet.
some of the actors prepared their hairstyles, other cast members checked their props and costumes. Kids Are Revolting is a play not about disgusting children, but about a unique revolution.
It's about what happens when the kids have a revolution and what happens when they're in charge.
And what's the scene that you were just rehearsing then?
We were rehearsing the end scene, and that's when the kids decided to do kind of conditional surrender to the adults. Surrender, or go back to the normal places if the adults agree to certain things.
The play is being written by the cast members, and all have played a major part in the show's success. But how do you go about writing your own play?
The idea was first put forward by a member of our group, Aaron Robinson, and so we got that idea and we wrote down our ideas in an orderly fashion, and then we just went away and wrote it. Different members of the cast got different scenes to write.
The show will be open to the public for 2 more performances, today and tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Some people may think that the guinea pig is an unusual animal, but for others, these cuddly little critters make excellent pets. At Lake Macquarie Shopping Centre, an exhibition featuring the finest in pedigree guinea pigs was open for all animal lovers. There are over 30 breeds of the animal, and 18 different types were on show. These range from Abyssinian, Roans, Agouti, Rexes and long-haired guinea pigs. Just like dogs and cats, these animals must be carefully looked after, with a basic diet of pellets, grass and vegetable scraps. And as Tamara explains, a good brushing to keep their coats in top condition. Tamara, what kind of guinea pig have you got there?
Victorian white.
And how would you go about looking after a guinea pig like that?
You get all the loose hairs out of it and you brush it so it's nice and smooth and the hair shines.
Now, you actually show these guinea pigs, don't you? So how would you go about preparing one to put before the judges?
These ones you don't really have to wash their hair, but you do have to groom them so that so the judges will put you first or second or third, the guinea pig.
At 9:30 in the morning, the Big Owl's restaurant in King Street is empty, but there's lots going on behind the scenes to begin preparations for the rush hour. During the night, cleaners have left the restaurant spick and span. Everything is checked by the manager and the windows are given a final polish. Deliveries from the baker and the fruit and vegetable man are made. Fresh salads are prepared and hot donuts are cooked. As well as sandwiches and hamburgers, Big Owl's soda fountain is also prepared. Ingredients for the ice creams are carefully mixed to make the final product. As time draws on, the customers start to arrive and the counter girls begin to get busy. The main object of a fast food outlet is to get the food ready as quickly as possible. Each step in making the products has been designed for efficiency for the workers out in the kitchen and quick sandwiches for the customers. But the final success comes with customers who are happy with the service, but happier that it's lunchtime. Newcastle has recorded one of its coldest winters ever, but the seasons have changed and the gardens are showing signs of spring's arrival. In tonight's news, we'll be showing you the grand champion of the Matara Garden Competition. For more details on our spring special, be watching the 6 o'clock news tonight.
The federal member for Newcastle, Alan Morris, has criticised the Newcastle City Council's decision to buy the Tuggerah military collection. Mr Morris says the council knew it would not receive federal funding for the purchase and says it could jeopardise the planned regional museum for this Wood Street site. I'm Mark Matho and I'll have full details in NBN's Hour of News at 6 tonight.